What's good guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to create this rotoscope clone flash effect inside After Effects. We're going to be rotoscoping our subject and have it animate from left to right in different colors, and then as it animates out it's going to create this shake blur flash effect, and it's actually really simple to do, so let's get right into it. So here in After Effects I have this clip of The Weeknd from his music video. To get started, what we're going to do is double click this layer, grab the roto brush tool in order to rotoscope our subject, and for those that don't know, you want to hold the control button and left click and just drag your mouse in order to make your brush bigger or smaller. In order to get rid of any unwanted parts that you didn't want to rotoscope, you can hold the Alt button on your keyboard and just left click and drag over your subject. I'm going to now rotoscope my subject. After going through the timeline to make sure that everything was accurately rotoscoped, you want to then click the freeze button, and what that does is pretty much just lock in our rotoscope subject. We're going to then go back into the composition. We want to make sure that the edges of our subject feel smoother, so what I'm going to do is increase the feather and have it at around like 12, and then decrease the shift edge to around -60. Grab that layer, click Ctrl D in order to duplicate that layer, and I'll just drag that layer right underneath. Rename that Weeknd BG, which stands for background. Get rid of the roto brush effect for that layer. Now if we play this, we have our rotoscope subject at the top and then the background on the bottom. Because we're creating a clone effect, what we're going to do is duplicate this layer twice, click Ctrl D, rename these layers just to make it easier for me. So this one is going to be The Weeknd left, this one will be Weeknd mid because that will be in the middle, and then this one will be Weeknd right because that's going to be on the right. Now I want to make sure that the position of these subjects are at the right place, so in order to make it easier, add 500 to 960 for the one in the middle. So 960 plus 500 is 1460, and then we're going to add 1460 plus 500, which is 1960. So now we have all three of our subjects evenly distributed. We're going to now add color to our subject. I'll be adding a tritone effect for both the middle and the layer on the right. You can change the color of your subject to whatever color that you want. I'll just have mine at orange, and then add a tritone effect for this right layer as well. For this layer I'll make it red. Moving on to the animation of this effect, go forward 6 frames. For this animation I'm going to have the middle one animating in first and then the one on the right animating right after. So keyframe the position and bring that forward 8 frames. Go back 8 frames and have it animate where it slides up from the bottom. Grab both of those keyframes, easy ease them, turn on the motion blur, go into the graph editor of the position keyframes. I have the influence at around, I have the influence at 100%. So it slides up fast in the beginning and then slows down towards the end. So we have our first subject animating up. For the second one, we're going to do the same thing. Keyframe the position right when our other layer animates up. Bring that forward 8 frames. Go back 8 frames. Make sure it slides from the bottom up. Grab those keyframes, easy ease them. Make sure to turn on the motion blur. Go into the graph editor of those position keyframes, and we're going to create the same exact graph as the other one. So now if we play this, we have both of these subjects animating fast in the beginning and then animating out slow. Now in order to create that effect where we have our subject animating in and then animating out, creating that shake blur flash effect, we're going to grab our layer with the subject in the middle, and then we're going to create an adjustment layer. Grab both of these layers and pre-compose them because we only want our adjustment layer to affect this layer right underneath it. For this adjustment layer, I'm going to have it 3 frames long, and then we're going to drag this adjustment layer 25 frames forward from this keyframe. You want to hold the shift button and click page down on your keyboard to go forward 10 frames. So just hit that twice and then hit the page down button 5 times. Get that adjustment layer, bring it forward, and then we're going to cut this layer to where that adjustment layer ends, because right when that shake flash effect happens, we're going to have our layer cut out so that it looks like our layer just disappears. For this adjustment layer, add an effect called wiggle position, and what this does is create that shake effect for this layer. Increase the wiggle speed to around like 60 and then increase the wiggle amount to, I'd say, 100 because I want this shake effect to feel intense. Make sure to turn on the motion blur for this adjustment layer, and now as you guys can see, that part of our layer creates a shake effect, and by adding this wiggle position effect, our layer kind of cuts off at the bottom. So in order to fix that, I'll be adding a motion tile effect to this layer, and make sure to bring that above the wiggle position because if it's at the bottom, it like distorts the position of our subject. So make sure to have that above those other effects. Increase the output height to 200, click mirror edges, and then it fills in that little gap that we were missing from before. For the final effect, I'll be adding an exposure in order to create that flash effect. Drag that layer to the adjustment layer, keyframe the exposure at 4 in the beginning, click that layer, click U to reveal the keyframes, and then go towards the end, keyframe the exposure back to 0, grab those keyframes, easy ease them, and now we have that shake flash effect as it animates out. Going back to the original composition, we're going to create that same effect for the layer here on the right. We're actually going to have that one animate out first. So just do the same thing, click that layer, right click, go to new, and then click create a new adjustment layer. Grab those two layers, pre-compose them, and then go into the pre-compose layer. Make this adjustment layer 3 frames long. For this adjustment layer, I'm going to drag it forward 10 frames. From this position keyframe, hold the shift button, click page down, grab the adjustment layer and just drag it forward. We're going to then cut this layer to where that adjustment layer ends. And then for this adjustment layer, I'll just be adding the same exact effects from our other adjustment layer. So just grab these effects, click Ctrl C, go back into that pre-compose layer, and then go back into this adjustment layer, click Ctrl V in order to copy and paste those effects. Make sure to have your motion blur on. Go back into the composition, and now we have this effect where it animates up and then it animates out, creating that shake effect. And that is all there is for this effect. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.